All right, so there's something else coming out of UFC 280 that I want to put on record as it relates to my own opinion about things, and that has to do with Khabib as a coach. Because I think that what you're looking at is the first moment where people are realizing this is going to be a run that he's going to go on that's probably going to last the rest of his career and life. I think that what we're looking at is the first stage of what ultimately is going to be the greatest coach in the history of this sport. And I'm talking about Khabib. Just, again, talking about Khabib. I think he's going to be the best coach that there's ever been in this sport. And I want to talk about why I think that's going to happen outside of the obvious. Because right now, you could say like out of the gate, congratulations to Khabib, Islam Makhachev, Dariush, Belal Muhammad, Khabib's cousin, Ubakar Nurmagomedov, who almost got in a fight with Khamzat. I should probably do a video about that since I know all about it. I don't know. I think that news kind of got out what happened there, but you know what? Let's actually talk about that right there. So those guys almost got in a fight, right? Ubakar, I'm sorry if I'm butchering that name. But they almost got in a fight, Khamzat and him. It was over that thing that happened with with Gadirov over that chat. And afterwards, Khabib puts together a press conference with him in the center of it, and he squashes the beef with Khamzat standing right next to him. With his cousin, Khamzat standing in the same group, and Khabib apologizing and saying everything's cool. We're all together in this thing. Now, why is that notable to him being a coach? Well, because all of these guys, all of the fighters in the UFC are all crazy. I mean, crazy in a way that I relate to, obviously, but like crazy. So if some guy puts a hand on another guy for whatever reason, if you're in a position where you can get that alpha male lunatic with this alpha male lunatic to come together and stand there quietly while you apologize for both of them, that's leadership that is very rare in this sport. Khamzat's not on Khabib's team. Khamzat's not on Khabib's team. Of course he could get his cousin to stand there, but Khamzat's not on his team. That's the level of respect that Khabib delivers. Now, on the backside, who knows? Kadyrov could have called Khamzat and been like, stand next to him, and he did it. I don't know. But nonetheless, that is going to be the basis of why I believe Khabib's going to be so successful. One of the reasons he's going to be so successful. So I think a good place to start is just to talk about like the different camps that have had a lot of success, who would be kind of in the conversation thus far with at least they've been the greatest coach in the sport at the time, because there have been a lot that have had a lot of success, and there's a difference, a common thing that seems to happen with all of them. But before I say that, you know what? If you like the content, subscribe and ring the bell. That's the deal that I make here, right? I make the content. You guys watch it for free. I don't ask for anything. If you want to super chat me when we're doing live streams, I appreciate that very much. And I remember all of your guys' names who do that. But I don't ask for it. I don't mandate it. All I ask if you watch a lot of my videos is just subscribe. You don't even need to ring the bell. That's literally just you saying, thank you, Jesse. I watch your content. Or if you hate my content, but you watch it over and over, that's you saying, fuck you, Jesse. Thank you for your content. I love hating it. Anyway, but yeah, so that. But anyway, so one of the things that is very, very common, or I don't know, if it might be without exception when you're looking at the history of the sport, is in most cases, you have teams that go on runs at the same time, where you have like a cluster of people who become the champions from the same team, and that lasts for a little while, right? So like as an example, Khabib's team, American Kickboxing, I think Khabib, I think AKA now, but obviously he's got this whole, he's got this Dagestan crew and all that. But using AKA as the example, because I'm talking about DC, Cain Velasquez, Rockhold, all at the same time, right? All at the same time, all holding UFC belts. That's an incredible moment for that team, and an incredible moment for Javier Mendez, who was their head coach. And you could go to very, very recently, and you could look at Trevor Whitman, who had Gaethje, Usman, Rose, all at the same time. All at the same time. I mean, what's a greater validation of your MMA methodology than having three guys or three fighters, sorry, Rose, whose styles at a base level are not very similar. You know, Kamaru Usman, when he came into MMA, is a wrestler, dominant wrestler. Gaethje was a wrestler, but didn't wrestle. He's a stand and decapitate you guy. Take a shot to give a shot. And Rose is obviously not like either of them. And under Trevor Whitman's tutelage, all three of them become world champions. Okay, it's a big validation of the coaching methodology and the program up there. You know, before that you have American Top Team, who has gone through, you know, obviously multiple runs. I think American Top Team doesn't get the credit that they deserve I think American Top Team is such a large organization that you don't think American Top Team and think of one coach, you know, kind of like there's no like head coach. I mean, I guess Mike Brown seems to be, and again, I'm probably saying this out of total ignorance. I don't really know exactly how American Top Team functions. I just know there are a lot of great fighters there. Mike Brown seems to be in the corner of the majority of the great fighters that come out, but I'm not sure if he corners Amanda Nunes. So I don't know. You know what I mean? I feel like American Top Team doesn't look the same just because it's so large. It feels like a lot of independent teams that kind of fight in there, and that could be fucking nonsense. I don't know. Don't throw a rock at me if you're American Top Team. But yeah, you know, and then you got the team in New Zealand right now that has Volkanovski and Izzy, the two most dominant champions with the most amount of, you know, title defenses, etc. You know, and if you go earlier, you had the Miletich crew where they had a team of killers, all, you know, bunch of champions, all the wrestling base. But what ends up happening with the majority of these teams that go on a run, Jackson Wink for a while too. But that just dawned on me as the example, because what normally happens, at least thus far, maybe our sample size is too small because it's a young sport. They have this run where they got a bunch of people and then they go away. And then it's not like you have these young fighters that come up behind them and then they win the title. You know, I think to be a world champion, the recipe is so specific. You have to have the right fighter. You have to have the right coach. You have to kind of the right methodology and people around them all at once. And you kind of mix it up and then boom, you get a world champion. I think it is a challenging recipe to find, but I think that it is so specific that when you find it, that's why you have multiple champions pop up all at the same time on the same team. And then something about that kind of changes. And then the next group, you know, they're either not the right fighters or the culture's changed on the team or some, you know, motivation among the fighters. These guys got complacent. And so the younger guys are kind of, you know what I mean? It's just like, you just don't know what it's going to be. But usually it goes like this and then they go like this. And then it was a moment as opposed to a legacy, if that makes sense. So right now, I think that we're just entering the era of Khabib coaching, because right now you still could say the kind of base skills that Islam Makhachev is taking into that fight were heavily kind of Abdulmanap and Javier Mendez, except that, you know, Khabib has now been his head coach for 2 years and he has looked flawless since then. The reason why Khabib stuck out so much to me after this event is actually primarily centered around Belal Muhammad. So, you know, I'm pretty good at this part, you know, looking at a person and just kind of going, okay, like I think I understand that person. You know, I understand what motivates them. I understand kind of what they would be like to interact with. I said this on the Fight Companion with Shab and Mir when Rockhold was first starting to train for his comeback, and there was a rumor that he was going to allow Khabib to coach him, like to be his real head coach. I said on this channel, and I said to other people, I said, if Rockhold can literally take his ego and just throw it in the garbage, like for real, and just completely give himself over to Khabib's coaching, and if he does every single thing that Khabib says, I think he'll be the world champion. And, you know, I remember a week later, he said, oh yeah, Khabib's going to be helping me, but, you know, he's not going to be my head coach. And I was like, okay, never mind. You know, I mean, he still could potentially be the champion, but my opinion was based on a different scenario. And is anybody going to say that the breakout stars of 280, I mean, obviously I say Islam Makhachev, but I would say the surprise breakout star was Belal Muhammad. I mean, dude, Sean Brady's a monster. Everyone I saw picked Sean Brady to win. And in hindsight, that was only partially because of how good Sean Brady was, and it was because people were writing off Belal Muhammad. And I know why also. People have been writing off Belal Muhammad because of the fight against Leon. Because Leon was piecing him up before he got eye poked. Like, yeah, there was an eye poke, no contest, but in reality, everyone saw that as Leon, beating the shit out of him, because that was how it started. And that was a recent fight, a big, visible, recent fight. And if you think about how Belal has looked since then, there was no reason to be writing him off. Like, he just beat Luque, like, handily. Luque's a monster. And he beat, it's not like Luque can't grapple. So, the threat that Sean Brady posed, in hindsight, is certainly not anything greater than what Luque did. But Belal said that he actually let Khabib train him for this camp. And he was talking about how serious they are, about how regimented their practices are. That there's no fucking around there. You get in line, you do this, you do this. It's like a real formalized team practice and training. These guys, I mean, in any sport, if, when people find a certain level of success, it's kind of weird to treat them the same way as you would a member of a college wrestling team, like where no matter how good a guy is, he's still working inside the system because he's a kid, he's a student athlete, where it's different when a player has an astronomical amount of money and success, because there's always going to be a point where someone's like, I mean, I hear you, dude. I hear you, coach. Like, I got you. But I can't remember. Did you ever win a world championship? Did you ever do that? Did you ever win a title? What? Like, yeah, I mean, I'll listen to you because I respect you, but did you? You look at Conor. Now, one thing I'll say about Conor too, that I said in a short that did not get enough coverage, in my opinion, is that if you're looking for a reason to respect Conor, here's a simple one. Look at Conor's team. Look at Conor's team. Look at the core group around him, right? His coaches, the guy, literally his solid team, his agent, all those guys. It's exactly the same as it always has been. It hasn't changed a little bit. Not one person is different. It's the same head coach. It's the same, same boxing coach, same people. Like, it's the exact same core guys. And that demonstrates a level of loyalty and trust that I always respect in other people or in people in general. And Khabib obviously has the same type of deal. And then he is growing this group of people who are kind of buying into their system. Belal looked so good, it was ridiculous. And when Belal is saying that, like, all these guys who are UFC stars now have fully bought into a system that Khabib is running, that system's not going to change. I could say that with confidence. The system's not going to change. If you want to train with those guys, you're going to work inside of their system. The system's not going to change for you, regardless of who you are. And it appears that system is pumping out some overwhelmingly dominant guys. And I really honestly don't believe that there is a huge difference in kind of the base model of certain world champions versus guys who are ranked 12. It's like it's a mindset thing. It's a focus thing, them being in the right system, them fully buying in, and then catching that moment of lightning and then confidence. And I just, I'm just so bullish on this system. I really think that this is the beginning of what's going to be an incredibly, incredibly dominant run for his team and guys. And the longer that he's the coach, the longer that he's the head guy, the more people are going to be like, God damn. And he's so visible. The way that he retired at the peak of his career and then just went straight into coaching. He is the most visible coach there will be. I didn't say this in my video about Islam yesterday, but I will just say it now. I think the biggest blocker to Islam becoming a highly brandable fighter is that impossible shadow that Khabib, with no intent, casts over Islam. At least for the hardcore fans. Now, maybe that'll be different for new people. Maybe new fans of the sport won't see Islam and think Khabib. You know, they'll see Islam and they're like, man, I heard this guy has never lost. But for guys like me and guys like you, there's no way that you could honestly say that you look at Islam and don't think Khabib. He's in the corner. We've all known that Islam is the next guy behind Khabib. Same system, you know. Anyway. But yeah, I think that we're about to see a run that's going to shock, well, maybe won't shock a lot of people, but will shock a lot of people who are not like us, you know, where people who don't see it coming. I think they're going to have an overwhelming amount of success because they're going to keep the distractions away from guys. They're going to keep the distractions away. And, oh, you know what? Shab told such a great story at the Fight Companion about the first main event that Islam was in, and he was really frustrated with the amount of press he had to do. He's obviously not a press guy, you know? And he was like, man, he's like doing his 30th interview, and he was complaining about it. And Khabib was like, oh, brother, you don't worry. You can get rid of this. All you have to do is lose. And all of this goes away. I was like, yes, that. So anyway, I'll probably talk long. Holy shit. Jesus. How the hell have I been talking this long about this? Anyway, I love you guys. Peace.